Hi, good afternoon. We are MBA Oman Group 2, and as you know that we have been gathered here today to have an exclusive interview with one of the business leaders in the country, Sheikh Khalid Al Hosni. To give a brief about Sheikh Khalid has been one of the leaders, business leaders in the modern era of business. And he's been instrumental very much in setting up a private credit bureau, the first private credit bureau in Oman. And he's an effective trainer as well. He has excelled in human resources, finance and operations. He's also engaged in blockchain functionality and with crypto economics and supporting other startups ventures. Apart from all these busy work, he also actively participates and run a family conglomerate by the name QBG. And his newest venture, Marketext, the online retail outlet, has taken the country by ease. So, having given a brief introduction about you, Sheikh, and we thank you very much for giving despite the busy schedules, you have been kind enough to accommodate a time slot for this MBA group to have a little bit of thoughts about the leadership. To start with, we would like to know, Sheikh, in very young age that you have entered into the business era, the business world. If you could give a little bit of highlights, how you have reached your journey towards the current stature.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for the very, very generous words. Maybe it's a little bit more than what I actually do attain. I'd like to start by saying that I finished my studies in the US. And when I finished my studies, I came back to Oman. Obviously, with the exposure that I had in the US, I wanted to see if there are some things that have the innovative things and innovative structures and services that I have seen in the US that can be replicated here in Oman. And honestly and clearly also, that when I came here, there are a lot of differences in the infrastructure of that. And these infrastructural differences in design did not allow me actually to delve immediately into what can be done, because again, it's a structure, it's a cultural structure that has been here for many years, and I found out it will take time to actually do that. So I have gotten into the very first things into business, whereby I did not realize really at first, at the beginning, that I was, although I'm in business, but I'm actually representing myself as part of this same culture that I come from, which actually has a lot of complexities, if you will. And these complexities not always are actually the best to deal with. And trust me, I had my fair share of dealing with complexities that comes with the social fabric of our society here. So it has taken me some time. It has also maybe delayed me some time. So many pitfalls I did not see along the way. Some of them are just natural pitfalls that anyone would get into. Some of them are very much due to this social fabric and the social network that I'm used to, that I actually maybe pulled me back a lot. But somehow I had to go through the phases one by one, whereby I had to start with having a small company. At the same time, I was asked by my family to start the family business, which you are in right now, actually QBG, right from the beginnings, from zero really. And it was different. It was different because, see, my background and my family's background is so much more tribal. So from that side of things, we were seen more as into the politics and political society, much more than actually business, which did, as I said, give some hindrances and pushed me back a little bit throughout my career. Nevertheless, I tried, and I can tell you I had my fair share of failures. And I actually, as opposed to saying I sit here telling you that I had to go through these failures, and they were actually building blocks for today and for so many years to come, inshallah, God willing. And the thing that I have actually learned from my career is that if I had avoided those mistakes and I did not call the failures as such, and I gave them a different name, more polished name, I wouldn't be where I am today, which I guess I will explore in maybe a few minutes.
Thank you. Sheikh, when you speak about these the failures, and I'm sure along the journey, the many people would have been inspired because of you. Same way, you would have also been inspired. How do you put it forward, if I may ask, about the running a company? What is the key asset of your company? How do you define the key asset of the company?
People. Out of three main aspects that are the three main pillars of a tent, same thing for a business, it's people, then people, then people. It is really people. You can have the right people and have no plans whatsoever, and you can actually make it in any field you are. But you can have the best plans ever and have the wrong people, and you're not getting anywhere. So if I was to say an asset, a real asset, is not just human capital, that is not my answer, to be very clear. It is the team and the team mentality. You have to have a strong team. Without a strong team, and by team I don't mean you have to have 50 or 60 people. 3 people, as they say, is the smallest team as far as number. The biggest team is 7. And when I say 3 to 7, I don't mean also you can't employ other people. I do mean that this is your core team. You need to have a strong core team. You need to have. Without that, you don't have an asset.
In other words, you're saying this companies or successful companies have been built by people. Now, also I believe there are into aspects. You need to capture or select, identify the correct people. Same time, for the retain or retainership, you need to motivate. How do you recruit the key core team members, along with how do you motivate them to work with you?
Excellent. I made many mistakes in choosing people. And if I was to tell you the truth, the single most important aspect that I leave out was not the person was looking at the same thing that the wrong person will be ending up on my table, and that is how much do I pay them. That was a mistake. And that doesn't mean that you just go and pay for the sake of payment though. So what I say is hire slowly. Hire slowly. Don't hire fast, because you're gonna regret it. And cultures are built by people. You bring one person, only one person, and it's the wrong person, in the wrong place. They can destroy a culture, a beautiful culture that was done and built over years. So choosing the right person, I'd be lying to you if I say it's easy. It's not easy. However, where do you start? Where did I start? I stop and think, not the technical side, although it is very important, of course, because that's normally the easiest thing to an extent to find out. You know, they have their certificates, you can give them exams, you can do all of this. This is perfectly fine. But finding a person who's excellent, but that person is not willing, you haven't gone anywhere. However, finding an asset, as you say, takes time, but also takes humility. You need to be humble. How humility? When you choose people, you need to give them some space. You need to see how you don't take them as followers, follow the leader. You give them space to show you. But the other point is also in hiring, and I have been also in mistakes through that, is giving so long of a time to actually give the feedback to people. That is inhumane in my view today. It is very much humane to give feedback immediately, but also you have to give pinpoints. These are the basic things, and you cannot give. You can go ahead and bring 3-4 pages of what to do, meaning a job description to someone. But guess what? 99% of the people don't read them all. I found that also to be true through the people, because I myself personally give them exit interviews, and I ask them, and I bring that same offer letter. What about this? What about that? And I find out, I ask them, did you read this? 99%, I say 99 because I don't want to say none. But 99% said they didn't read it fully.
Thank you, Sheikh. Sheikh, also, when you look at your profile, I feel, and as a group, that we felt the creativity and innovation, how you have displayed, and all these new ventures that you have started has played a key role in your success. This is how that, as a team, that we believe. So you, as an inspiring leader, leading with this kind of qualities and traits, how do you inculcate these virtues among your followers?
This is the answer that I've been thinking about and trying to cultivate throughout my life, my professional life. And there's only one answer to it for me, none other than this one answer, and that is never lead by design. Lead by example. If you have the best designs in the world and give it to people, some people who are discipline oriented, they'll go by it, but sometimes it'll be blindly doing it also. The one thing that differentiates a leader that takes all the flock behind him and going to the right mountain, as opposed to the other one who's managing very well in efficiency and effectiveness, but takes them to the wrong mountain, is the essence of that leadership, and that cannot be done except by example. You do things as you want people to do.
Interesting. So if we were to start all over again, what would you have done differently in your career?
The single most thing that I would have changed, and that's the only thing, because all the failures that I went through, I wouldn't have changed, not a single bit, but I would have changed the way I viewed people as assets. I did not view people as assets. I viewed, at the very beginnings, I viewed people as helping hands. As, assets to me at the time were the normal assets that people talk about: money, infrastructure, buildings, but not people. And I tell you this, I lost some of these buildings. I lost some of this money also, because I did not put the money where my mouth is, and that is people.
How would you describe your organizational culture, being a family-owned business? How do you describe this?
Interesting. I do run and help run this business, which is a family business, and I do have also my own sole business. I can tell you the differences between these two that can give you the flavor. In this business, and obviously it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about the type of leadership. It's not about leadership per se, but it's about the type of leadership. In a company, in a family-run business, you have more than one person calling the shots. Even though there is, at the end of the day, someone at the helm, but still, you have more than one person to give their own views. So, cultural elements can actually vary in such a formation. However, in the other businesses, which is the sole business that I run myself, I can see that people do portray me at least 75%. So the cultural element that I take for granted, or I used to take for granted, I can see it very vividly. Meaning, I don't put in enough hours, even though I am the owner of the company. They don't put in enough hours. I don't encourage me going and putting my own coffee, then they want an office boy. I don't encourage listening to people. I will give you all the things, the small and the big. I don't encourage or I don't encourage people to come and speak out, and I listen to them carefully, and I actually show them and then act upon it, then I don't expect them to do that, and they didn't do that. So really, the culture and leadership go hand in hand, inseparable. However, there are things about elements about people that will always be there, and that is what I say by the 30% or odd. But the 70 to 75% is controllable by your own actions. So if I saw something that is not going well, instead of coming and breaking it out to everyone, I start to change my values. Where was I wrong? What did I do? Am I listening to people? Am I sitting with people? Am I putting in enough hours? Am I speaking to other people? Am I going out to the market when I told you I'm going to leave the office? I think I told you that yesterday. Today I walked in and I told them, one of them was saying, you know, okay, I'll come to your office. I said, well, pretty soon I'm not going to have an office, so where are you going to see me? I said, what do you mean? To them it's a shock. Well, I'm going to be in the market most of the time. I want my people to be in the market. I should not go and say to them, you should be in the market, you shouldn't. I go to the market. I find them there. So culture, leadership, inseparable to me.
Sheikh, by looking at it, you are managing family business as well as your own personal business and different dimensions of different industries. So with all these complexities, plus you are into different initiatives which are like not related to the company, sometimes Oman or national economy related or technology related. With all this busy schedule, how you are balancing your family life and work?
Priorities. Every evening I go to sleep at 8:15 p.m. I head to my room and I hold a book because that's the one that brings back the sanity back. And I read something which is totally away from business and anything like that. Mostly novels. And I read for 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes. I get drowsy. By 9, mostly I'm sleeping. Morning I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I do my prayer, and I go and then also do I do my workout. Every day I have this workout for half an hour, and then I come back again and do some reading and put my priorities. But one priority, no matter what, after this is a ritual, this is a morning ritual, I have to do it every day, is that 5 p.m. I'm back home because my son is waiting for me. And he wants to go and play football outside. And I go and play with him football. I change my clothes and I go and play with him football. Every single day, as much as possible. So today, we're here now. What time is it, if you don't mind me asking?
10:04.
He's waiting for me 5 p.m. there. And I make that a priority, even if I have something to do. And I do actually have something to do. So after that 6 p.m. I'm going to this commitment, just because I have to be there. So that is how I try to balance as much as possible. Plus also I'm blessed that my wife is my co-founder in the new business also. So kids are in school. She is helping me in this new startup, which is marketex.com. I'm very excited about that. I'm excited because I've been meaning to do this for many, many years actually. Now is the time, and I think it's not about me, how come I didn't start before? It's because also the market has to be ready for it. So the readiness of the market is what kept me behind schedule wise.
Interesting, Sheikh. How do you find the gender equality in Oman, and where do you see women in business heading?
Okay. In my office, I will start. I have 90% women working in my office. 90%. Can you give me any name that we deal sometimes together? Any name of a man who called you? Do you remember it? All women, right? Exactly. 90%. So I am, I have men who work for me, but most of them are actually out in the market. And some, very few also in the office. But most of them, and here I'm talking about the sole business that I have. I believe that women, as good as men, as ready as men, as willing as men in Oman today. And quite honestly, if anyone talks about equality, I stop, because I don't see any relevance to that talk even. Because there's no such thing as equality. And we do believe that because it's actually true. It's true. I for myself, someone comes to me, whether it's a male or a female, I do choose female. That's how I end up having 90%. Because of one major thing. Yeah, I'm a male. We have male friends here. But they are more committed in the office. And specifically to the customer care units and the customer care kind of a business mentality. We need someone who's there, who can actually get back to people and speak also in a certain way. So I hope I answered your question, but gender, I think there is, if there was any hesitation in this society, it was by the society makeup. But it's changing. But one thing I see that still there are pockets where females are even paid a little bit less than males,
That's correct.
which I'm against. And how is it I'm against? I pay them equally. I don't even think about that, actually, to be very honest. I look at who is it that's coming and how much they're expecting and how much am I actually giving as a budget. That's it. So I look at the productivity as opposed to the gender.
Sheikh, for the success of your organization, which way you will give more weight? Is it because you give more freedom to your people, or you actually check their KPIs, you check all the progress on a very stringent basis? So which one actually contributed more towards your success?
Well, one first and foremost thing I have to talk about is that when you say success, to me success is a journey. It is not a destination, which means I cannot actually quantify success. I can't. I can't. It's an ongoing. So because it's a journey, then obviously you need people who believe in what is going on just as much as you are. How can you do that? Well, one is you can motivate people, but you will not be able to motivate them by speeches every single day. You can, but it goes to an extent. After that it becomes old style, old news. But there are other things that are actually, I wish that it's going to start taking place here in Oman, because there's a legal side to it, which is the ESOPs, which is the shares that are being owned by employees, exactly. And that is something that I really look for. In fact, I've started by having through Markitex.com, because it's registered in BVI, British Virgin Islands. That's why they have laws for that there. So I'm going to actually we will introduce that maybe.
Share options.
Yes, share options. Maybe by next year, possibly, inshallah.
Currently, it is very rarely practiced here in this region.
And it's because of the laws, actually. We don't have laws behind it. So you can actually practice it. Then you will get into trouble, because at the end of the day, the legal system has to have some kind of bylaws that govern this kind of a thing. There aren't any here. So that's why we are resorting to somewhere else outside. But I do believe that people have to feel that sharing, ownership in that. And that ownership, true that they can feel ownership by how much you give them. Another thing is, what? We take things for granted, You have to celebrate every celebration of every employee, however small it is. If you didn't know about it, that's a different thing. But if you know, you have to celebrate. Not just birthdays. Any small thing. Tell them in front of everyone. That's big thing for them. Very empowering. And it stays for 3-4 months minimum. When you come, I try to do that. I'm not saying I'm the best one who does that, but I try to do. Like, I will come right in the middle of everyone is busy, and I'll just come in the middle of the room and say, "Excuse me, I need everyone." And I called it a name. I call it 2-minute warning, and everyone laughs when I say 2-minute warning. They all stop. What is a warning? But now they know, of course. And then I say to them, "So and so, can you please come here?" And then I explain to them what this person did. Now, it's come to my knowledge, I wasn't even there, but I would ask what happened. And I would actually congratulate them for what they've done in front of everyone. And then they will all then give that applause which that little applause goes miles and miles away.
Sheikh, we do not wish to take much more time of you. You have an appointment with your son at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
But finally, we would like to ask something, as you have reached the success, and there are many young Omanis and budding investors are looking forward to reach the same level or maybe much higher level than them. Would you like to share a message of being that journey that you have sailed through? Give a message to them, and we'll be very happy to have from you.
Sure. Success is a journey. Most of Omanis here, and I have dealt with, I think, more than 150 startups that I've actually sat down and I gave them my time free of charge because I want to help. And I know I remember saying that to them repeatedly. One, don't wait for immediate success. The second thing is the biggest damper for encouragement and for growth is success. It's a damper on growth. Why? Well, the element of success, people have different kinds and different value of success. But most of us go for short-term success also, which is fine. But the problem is when that short-term success becomes the success factor that we're looking for, it stops us. And my message is, don't look at that, because really success is not a destination. It is a journey. So keep on it. Try to look for something. Don't try to beat others around you. Beat yourself. If you are man enough, woman enough, beat yourself. Don't try to beat others around you. You do that, you know every single day you're better than the day before. And you're going to have a splendid life in your journey.
Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you very much for your
So
time.
much.
And very inspiring. And on behalf of the PIM Batch Oman Group and on behalf of my colleagues here, we thank you very much and we wish you all the very best on your new venture, Marketex. And we hope and wish all the best of success of the whole world to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to help out also. And it's a privilege for me that you have come here and chosen me. And wish to see you very soon on marketex.com as new customers of ours. We will do our best to keep you as very happy and splendid customers.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.